is if you want to have children, that is your right as a human being to have children, and no one else should interfere in that right, because if rights are God-given, a man should never take them away. Okay, so hey all, I hope you guys are doing well. Guess what, I said let me bring you a talk video, this time topic about having babies and America really versus Africa and the attitude towards that, right? I've been in America for a long time now, and I feel like I get what America is. America, first of all, is an idea, and you either buy into that idea or you don't, right? That's number one. Number two, in America, the media plays a major role in shaping people's attitude about anything, right? That's true for a lot of countries, but you would expect in America for that to be different, but it's actually bigger here than it ever was in Africa, right? So I was thinking about this as I was taking a bath. I was like, hey, in Africa, everyone who can reproduce has children. Why is that? But in America, whenever we want to have children, we have to think about a million things, like, okay, how am I gonna be able to afford this education? How am I gonna afford this? Where I'm gonna, you know, all those things that we think are important in terms of making a decision about having children. In Africa, people don't consider that. You get pregnant, you have children, they grow up, life goes on. I'll tell you the reason why. So I'm from a culture where a family is not a nuclear family as Americans understand it, or Western countries understand it. A family is an extended family. As a result, until recently, you knew who your biological mother was, but everyone around you was a mother who is capable of taking care of someone, was a mother. And that was true for pretty much, you know, like your uncles. If you didn't have your father, your biological father in your life, I've told my story about, you know, my uncles having a major influence in how I grew up. So we have an understanding that these are your biological parents, but ultimately everyone who's an adult around you played the role of being a parent, including your older siblings. So when it came to having children, you were either off age or you couldn't have children. So we never had to make a choice between, do I have children, and if so, how many children? It really started with probably my mom's generation, where, you know, like where people started, you know, like thinking about what it means to have children. Before you had children, you raised them, you probably grew up in a farm, or if you lived in the city and worked in the city, you took the kids to the countryside and grandma would raise them, and they would grow up in a farm, and they would be raised in a way that would give them the skills, at least equip them with the skills that were necessary to continue to live, like how to farm and all those things. So but the point I'm trying to make is that ultimately it was not whether how much money you had that you could have children. You could have children because you could have children, and the role of the extended family there was that anyone who was capable would take care of the children. In fact, in Africa to this day, it's changed a lot actually in my generation, but in my mom's generation, if you had one educated child in the family, that was usually enough. Like educated, I mean Western educated child. They would, you know, like help out with the family because everybody else is helping them with raising their own children. So it was really like more a communal lifestyle, even within the extended family. Like when I was a little kid, I grew up, you know, like before my mom came and took us back to Cape Town because she wanted us to have better education and all of that. But I lived with my grandma, my sisters, everyone lived with we lived with our grandma, uncles, cousins. We had a huge family, and I mean there's a ton of benefit to that because you learn things that even before you go to school, you socialized to being around other people. You know how to play, you know how to defend yourself, you know how to, you know, like do a lot of things that you wouldn't get if you were the only single child who grew up in a perfect family, you know. And I say this as my children having grown up here in America in a you know, in our nuclear family. But you've seen my videos. I try to have my children be around other people that are like family to us, so that they, you know, like they feel like they have cousins and everyone that they're growing up with, or at least they were growing up, because, you know, like both of them are kind of old people now. But the point is, is that we in the West, in the West, we associate having children with, you know, I gotta have all these resources, have everything planned out before I can have children, because if I don't, I'm gonna have to depend on welfare, I'm gonna have to depend on all these things. Whereas in Africa, I mean, until recently, and I kept on saying that because so much of our culture is changing, and in a way, I'm kind of sending a warning to, you know, like to our people, that what we see is not always as glorious as we believe, or as we were told it is. You know, like you gotta have this and that. Your child, when they're born, they should have this castle of a nursery, you know, like where they have everything. Think about it in America, for goodness sake. Like, I remember when Luke was a baby, I took him to daycare because I was going to school, and I was paying like $800 I think a month at the time, and that was a long time ago. And so the point I'm trying to make is that in America, I understand that, you know, like in a way the system works in a way that it's already what it is, right? Because a lot of Americans grew up in the system, they understand it, they know how it works. But the way capitalism works, it isolates you, so that there's actually, this, by the way, is not my idea. I'm plagiarizing my daughter here, but she said something that I thought was profound, that capitalism isolates you so that it can exploit you. So you have no real relationships around you that are beneficial to you, because ultimately you need to depend, the system depends on you being dependent on it, right? So so the point I'm trying to make is that those strong families allowed even people in America would be considered unworthy of having children. In Africa, they would have children. I mean, if that's what you want, and I'm not advocating that everybody should have children here. No, I'm saying that if you want to have children, you gotta understand that having children is not dependent on the things that we think it's dependent on. You can form relationships that are meaningful for you. Listen, when my daughter I had to start working at an early age, like where during holidays I go and look for a job so that I can help out and stuff like that. He had scholarships while he was in college, and he was using his scholarships to help take care of his child. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you have people around you who are responsible, who love you, who take care of you, you want to step up as well and make sure that you are honoring their sacrifice and their support by doing your part. But that's besides the point. The point really of this video was to say is that the attitudes that we have about having children in America versus Africa are totally different. Another point that I wanted to make is that when people look at Africans and they say, whoa, these people, how are they doing it? Yes, I understand. This is where the propaganda that I was talking about comes in, where they would go to the most impoverished part of Africa and they will take those images and they would plaster them on television and say this is what Africa is, when the continent is so vast. I mean, it's unimaginable how big the continent is and the number of people who are there, but they will take that and push that as this is the image of Africa. That's actually what they used to do during apartheid in South Africa, where they would take images, the same images that American media uses, they would then send them to South Africa because we were supposedly better off, right? They would take it and say, if you become free, this is how you will be like, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that propaganda is really what shapes our attitude, and in America it's a huge thing. And I'm not saying propaganda is always bad. I know the value of it. I know, you know, sometimes it can push people to do you know, like something that's good for the benefit of society, but it can also be very damaging. So to come back to my point is, if you want to have children, that is your right as a human being to have children, and no one else should interfere in that right. Because if rights are God-given, a man should never take them away. Okay, so that's really the point I wanted to make. Everyone I know in my family who wants to have children has children. You don't need tons of money. You just need people. You need support system that's family, extended family, and you also just need to work hard for your own children so they can also learn the value of hard work. So politicians butt out. And I just wanted to make this point, and I wanted to make this video. By the way, I'm always talking about the things I love about America, but there are a lot of things that I don't like about this culture. But I've learned to step back and say, this is the culture that, you know, like that has been created over time, and I respect that. But what I don't respect is when people go to other people's countries or go to other people's cultures and say this is wrong. You have no right to tell people what they should and should not do. It's not your right. You take care of your own business, mind your own business. Don't tell other people that they don't deserve to have the life they think they deserve. It is up to them. It's not up to you. They can take care of their own business. And here's the thing. Africa understands in a way that even the idea of evolution, if you don't take care of your business, you will perish. You will, you know, over time lose it all. Africans understand that. That's why we don't necessarily butt in when people make decisions about their own life. It's a family decision when it comes to everything. It's only now that the state is becoming more and more important. But I mean, I shouldn't say now, but it's the Western idea of having the state being bigger than the individual. The individual has always been bigger in Africa, but it's the individual is really never bigger than its support system, you know. So the idea of equality is built into that. So I just wanted to say that. I hope I didn't ramble too long, and I hope I didn't, you know, like confuse you, because most of my videos, in fact all of my videos, are ad-lib. I don't edit. I just sit in front of the camera and talk. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to upload this now. Don't forget to thumbs it up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Okay, bye.